Hello, I'm Jonasz Rewiński and you're watching Break the Fake. They make them, we break them, and tell you everything you need to know. The Moldovan parliament has taken a step that Moscow certainly did not expect. For the first time since independence, the country will not establish friendship groups with Russia and Belarus. That means no hugs, kisses or brotherly relations, only cold diplomatic distance and a clear political signal. Cooperation with aggressors is cancelled. The new Moldovan government has officially decided to close the Russian House, the main base for the Kremlin's soft power operations, which for years pretended to be a cultural center, but in reality was keeping busy spreading propaganda and nostalgia for the Soviet Union. The parliament's decision and the closure of the Russian House are not just a diplomatic gesture, but a clear continuation of the course towards European integration. Moldova has consistently demonstrated solidarity with Ukraine and is purging itself of the Kremlin's levers of influence, which have been infiltrating politics, media and culture for years. For Moscow, this is yet another blow to its self-esteem. The Kremlin is accustomed to considering Moldova its younger brother, but instead Moldova is confidently closing all the doors through which the Russian friendship had a habit of entering without invitation. Moldova has shown that being a European country is not a matter of geography, but a matter of choice, and that choice is final. Russian propagandists have opened up a new front, this time on the battlefield of artificial intelligence. Videos have begun to appear online, allegedly showing Ukrainian troops leaving Mirnogorod and Pokrovsk. They feature soldiers with strange accents, flags that look like they were drawn in MS Paint, and stretchers that fly on their own, meaning that Ukraine either has made leaps and bounds in anti-gravity technology or else has been regularly sending emissaries to Hogwarts. So, what do we make of this 21st century take on Saving Private Ryan? Well, if you look closely at the footage, it becomes clear that the director of this masterpiece was not Steven Spielberg, but some guy named Sergei, working at the FSB's PSYOP department, who had just discovered ChatGPT. The wheelchair moves on its own, which wouldn't be anything unusual in peacetime, but I doubt whether motorized wheelchairs are the go-to method for evacuating wounded troops across broken roads and other unfriendly terrain. And don't even get me started on the stretcher, which seems to glide effortlessly above the ground, with troops walking alongside it, only gently guiding its path, giving it a nudge, so to say. The flag in the background looks more like a hybrid of France and Sweden than the Ukrainian blue and yellow, and the soldiers speak with such an accent that even Google Translate would ask, "Are you sure this is Ukrainian?"
Тише, ребята, ровнее, яма слева, держим.
Давай, крути, я подтолкну.
Холодно сегодня, как в декабре.
Главное, уже отходим.
Эй! Мы уходим из Покровска! Ура! Ура! Держимся, братья!
Дальше только домой.
The Russians, as we know by now, are not that great on the battlefield, but unfortunately their focus on disinformation remains laser-sharp. That is why they are now achieving victories in neural networks with deep-fake pixel phantoms instead of invading troops. The purpose of such videos is not to convince, but to confuse and intimidate. They say the Ukrainian army is retreating and cities are falling, although in reality, the only thing that's taken a plunge recently seems to be the quality of the editing. The new fakes are an attempt to create a virtual reality where Russia is successful and Ukraine is giving up. The only problem is that even artificial intelligence doesn't want to cooperate with lies, so there is always something suspicious in the frame. Flying stretchers or a soldier who blinks 3 times a second. Of course, the situation in Pokrovsk remains critical, but instead of churning out fake videos, Russia should probably take care not to accidentally release important visual data while showing footage of its own troops. Remember that weird video of ragtag Russians riding through the mist? Pretty much a live quest marker for Ukrainian drones, it turned out. The Ukrainians saw the video, which was not AI, and the Russians were decimated as a result. Okay, time for one of our regulars, Russia promoting genocide on TV, episode 1352. I don't really know. I've lost count a long time ago. Anyway, listen to this. This was aired live on Russian media just a day ago. The bridges across Kyiv must be destroyed. The Kyiv dam must be destroyed. Kyiv must be flooded. First we warn, then we destroy. And not only Kyiv, by the way, they also talked about other Ukrainian cities: Kharkiv, Dnipro, Mykolaiv, Odesa, and Sumy.
Через Днепр должны быть разрушены, плотина Киевская должна быть разрушена, город должен быть затоплен, Харьков должен быть уничтожен, Николаев, Одесса, Сумы стерты с лица земли, как Днепропетровск и прочие города. При этом вначале предупреждаем, не понимают, осуществляем. Но другого нельзя, к сожалению. Это же не хорошо, не плохо, это просто данные.
Ну, как можно по-другому воевать? Ну, только таким образом, только таким образом.
You see, there is no heroism or strategy in these words, only a desire to intimidate and justify destruction. And while the media talks about warnings, Russian planes and missiles are actually bombing Ukrainian cities every day. People are dying, homes, hospitals, schools and energy infrastructure are being destroyed. This is not a political spectacle, but a human tragedy. Families are losing parents. Children are left homeless, and hospitals are operating under extreme conditions. And so it's hard to escape the conclusion that such trigger-happy television shenanigans are not just a deranged form of entertainment, but also preparation of the informational groundwork for more real war crimes. And this may be a point we've made in the past, but get this, stuff like this might bring consequences more serious than people online saying cringe in the comments section. Following the tragic events in Rwanda in the 1990s, some of the staff members of the infamous local media outlet RTLM, nicknamed Radio Genocide, actually faced legal liability for incitement to violence. And honestly, can you see the difference between a Hutu-affiliated radio presenter calling for Tutsis to be slaughtered with machetes and a random Russian guy with delusions of grandeur gloating over the prospect of razing entire cities to the ground? Drop the "they are the same picture" meme in the comments if you agree. And if the people in charge of this narrative are never made liable for inciting genocide, that's more of an indictment of the international justice system than anything else. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov made what could be called an academic case for a logical somersault. The essence of his claims is simple and beautiful in its absurdity. Europe suddenly began to arm itself and increase its defense budgets, and we, as it were, anticipated such a development of events in advance, which is why we started the war. If you have patience and a sense of humor, you can try to connect these two sentences with a causal loop. For everyone else, here is some advice. Don't look for logic. It's useless.
Действительно, очень такие сильные промилитаристские настроения в европейских странах. Они вымучивают из себя дальнейшее увеличение военных бюджетов. Некоторые страны, такие как Польша, уже почти до 5% довели. Мы, собственно, всегда понимали, что такая опасность существует, поэтому, собственно, все меры для обеспечения своих интересов и безопасности принимали заблаговременно.
It seems that in Russia, cause and effect relationships have been officially declared foreign agents. Why bother with logic when you can simply say, Europe is increasing its budgets because we knew it would increase its budgets, so we started the war earlier? Russia is a country where history is written backwards. First, they bomb Ukrainian cities. Then they claim that they were provoked. First, they destroy Mariupol. Then they say they liberated it. And now, there is a new genre. First, they started the war, then they came up with a reason for it. Makes sense. Such tactics demonstrate weakness rather than strength, actually. When a reason has to be invented after the conflict has already begun, it means that fear and chaos are driving the situation rather than, rational interests. And if the realization that the aggression against Ukraine was a monumental blunder begins to dawn upon even the most ardent of Russian propagandists, is it any wonder that they try to cope by inventing another convoluted narrative to sweep the truth under the rug? Classic Russia shoots itself in the foot first and asks questions later. And with this, we conclude this edition of Break the Fake. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news and updates.